because she had so many complications. I took the baby home after the first week. She eventually came home and had some issues with postpartum depression, but thanks to the close observance of her doctor, it was addressed relatively quickly, and she was put on medication. So here we are, 2 years later, and the woman that she was while pregnant doesn't exist anymore. She is back to her old self. She still has some lasting but minor physical issues from the pregnancy, but, overall, is healthy again, mentally and physically. I won't lie, it took me some time to love her again. After I took the baby home, there was a part of me that hoped she wouldn't come back from the hospital. I had no positive feelings for her at that time. I slept in a different room for 4 months afterward. We didn't go to counseling because we just didn't have the time. Eventually, after many talks, I realized that the woman she was while pregnant was gone. She is extremely sorry and regrets everything, and can't explain why she did what she did, but is disgusted with who she was. Around our son's first birthday, we agreed that she would never get pregnant again due to how dangerous her pregnancy was for her and how abusive she became toward me. Our relationship is good and loving now, and we both love our son very much. We are happy again. But earlier this week, she mentioned she wouldn't mind having another kid in an offhanded comment. This obviously shocked me, and we agreed never to do it again. I didn't address the comment at the time, but over the next day, I kept thinking about it, and that night, I asked her what she meant by that comment. She said she'd been thinking about it, and she decided she wanted to try for a daughter and suggested going off her birth control. I probably didn't handle this as well as I could have, but I just stared at her and said, "No." She said, "What do you mean no? You don't just get to say no." I said, "No, I'm not doing that again. We had an agreement, I would not even consider the thought of you being pregnant again." She started crying, saying it's not fair. We have a boy, and she wants a girl too. I explained that we can't predict it will be a girl. What would happen if it were another boy? And what happens if you die from another pregnancy? She wouldn't continue talking and just cried. Update, my wife and I were able to talk. Unfortunately, it didn't go very well. Before I left for work, I hugged her, said I'm sorry for immediately saying no, and said that I wanted to talk through it after work and hear all her thoughts about it. She agreed and said I love you, and things seemed calm and positive as I left. That night, I asked her why she had changed her mind about another baby and just what she was thinking overall. She basically said she's getting older, her window for another baby is closing, and it made her realize she wanted at least one more and that she also really wants a girl. I asked what happens if it's not a girl, and she said in that case, we would try again. I wondered if she remembered the last pregnancy, how dangerous it was, how her kidneys were permanently damaged from it, how she was so sick that I had to basically be her live-in nurse, and that if she got pregnant again, she could have total kidney failure and die. She said she's not worried because she knows God will protect her and will provide what we need. That really threw me off. I don't think I have ever heard her speak about a God like that at any point in our entire 6-year relationship. We are not religious people. I don't think we have ever been in a church together. Our wedding wasn't even in a church, and we don't own a Bible. The last time I was in a church was my mom's funeral 9 years ago. After the God comment, I didn't know what to say. I was just shocked, and I laid my head on the back of the couch and looked up at the ceiling. She asked what was wrong. I said that this was a lot, that she was saying the opposite of what we had previously agreed, and I don't think I could change my mind on this because I didn't want her to get deathly sick, and that I don't think I can go through the abuse again. I did use the word abuse, which maybe I shouldn't have because it set her off. She started ranting. Abuse? What abuse? You're accusing me of abuse? I reminded her of the coffee cup, throwing food on the floor, the name calling, the slandering me to friends and family, and multiple other incidents. But she just kept talking over me. You really think that's who I am? I want another baby, and this is what you think about? I said yes. It is what I think about because it's what happened last time. Everything just fell apart from there. She was yelling and crying, and I couldn't get a word in, calling me a bunch of names, saying that I don't love her. I can't understand what it's like for her. Why can't I just give her this one thing? It's what God wants for us. It's God's plan, and on and on and on like this. I couldn't calm her down or convince her to go to bed. She was following me around the house and crying, angry. One thing that really concerned me is she said something like loving our son is much easier for me because he looks like me, that she can't see any of herself in him, and it isn't fair, and that's why she wants a daughter. She made it sound like she didn't love our son and could only love a daughter who looked like her. Finally, all the noise woke our kid up, and I told her I had to take him on a drive to get him back to sleep. I drove around for an hour and put him back to bed. She was awake but locked in our room, so I slept in the living room again. She left early the next morning, and I later found out that she had gone to her mom's house. She was gone the whole day, so the kid and I had the day together. We eventually went to my older brother and sister-in-law's house, and I kind of vented to them. I was very surprised to hear sister-in-law say, "Yeah, we've been waiting for this," and that it took longer than expected. My brother agreed. They basically said that they'd seen this in her for as long as we'd been together and were concerned but unsurprised with her behavior during the pregnancy, and that the pregnancy let the genie out of the bottle, that who she was at that time is who she really is. They see her slipping more into that behavior every time we hang out, and they're concerned. I told my wife that the kiddo and I were staying at my brother's last night, but she never replied, and that's where I still am today. I took a sick day today and probably will tomorrow. I'm lucky my boy is such an easygoing kiddo. 90% of the day, he is giggly and happy and loves to give hugs. For me, he honestly relieves more stress than he creates, and luckily, my brother and sister can't get enough of him. I think I might have to divorce my wife. He says she is very manipulative and is relieved that I'm finally starting to see it. I really didn't think she was this kind of person, but I guess I've been willfully ignorant this whole time. I think I've been lying to myself. Brother and sister-in-law say she didn't go back to normal after the birth. She just dialed it back a little, and I told myself it was normal. I feel lost. I think I need to get divorced. I don't want to, but I think the only other option is to stay with her, which I also don't want to do. I wish I could stay with my son at my brother's forever and never have to acknowledge the real world ever again.